Hello everyone. Hope you are doing well. Welcome to our today's session. This is just a recap session. In case you missed some of our classes, specifically for last week, part one, I was not able to record the session and send the recap for those who missed. Welcome very much. Welcome and remember, these are the continuations. We've been having these classes, so this just the continuation. So in case you can understand something or you want to find the previous sessions, I'll advise you that you find them. I'll try to attach the links to this video later so that you can follow along. Otherwise, welcome. I'm going to share the screen so that we can start. As you join, notify me so that I know whether you are able to get me clearly and see my screen at the same time. Welcome. I'm sharing the screen and hope you can see my screen. This is what we were doing some weeks ago and also last week. So I'll just be brief because I want us to say a few things. I'll introduce something new that we covered last week because of time. So just allow me a minute to check whether you are able to see my screen. So just a minute. Okay. So I can see that you are able to see my screen. So just let me know in the chat in case of anything, so that will not miss on something like last week. So we said functions are just like the machine. So function does specific thing, just like a machine does things. Or you can think of maybe processing industries, processing factories. If you can think of the factory, they usually have some input. They usually have some input of raw materials. So they have the raw materials, and then they do some processing here. So there's some processing here. There's some processing. Then you have a final product. So you have the final product. So that is what function does. That that factory that does some processing, inputs, and does some processing, and after you're able to get some product or some output. So they are just like machine. So we are just like machine. These are the Python functions or functions generally. So functions does something, takes some input, process that input, and gives you the output in terms of maybe products if this was the case. So that is what we said. That is what we said here. What functions are, and you can read the rest for yourself because you don't want to dwell on that. So when we are defining the functions, we said that we have to define the function, then we use that function. So we first define, like we are creating the function. So there are two steps. You create the function, then you function. We call it you can call the function. So to create the function, we said that we use the keywords. And if you can remember, sometimes back we were talking about the variables. We said that there are some research keywords, that we are not allowed to use as variables. So one of them is the uh, def keyword is used to define functions. So once you write def, Python will understand that you are now talking about functions and not variables. So so we say that you start with def keyword followed by parentheses like that, and then the full colon to show the end of your. Then you write the code. Uh, the code is usually intended as we said. So that is how we define a function. We will see that in a few. We'll see that in a few. Only that I don't want us to focus so much today on much theory. I want us to do something. And after we've defined the function, we call that function. So for us to call the function, we'll use the name of the function and the parentheses. So okay, sorry. Sorry, we have a def keyword to define, and then we have the name of the function. Sorry for that. So we have the def keyword, and then we have the name. So once we are calling the function, we have the name of the function, and then the parentheses. So this is how we call the function, or how we use the function that we have defined. So the first part is creating the function. Use the def keyword, the name of the function. We have the full colon, and we write the code intended in the same position. And then after that, we can now call the function. So we have the name of the function, and then in case it is taking some arguments of which we are going to see, you can pass them here. But if it is not taking any input, we just have the name of the function. So the input for the function goes here. Just like we were talking about the machine here, we said, or a processing plant, we said it takes the raw material as inputs, then does processing on those inputs and gives you the output. So in the same way, the input for the Python function, or for functions in general, usually goes here. So you have the input here. In case it is accepting, if it is not accepting the input, you just have the name of the function that in a view, and we said we have the functions that takes the input parameters. So we will talk about that. We'll talk about that, and the functions, of course, that returns the value. So I want us to see that. Then I think we'll start from here. So just for us to see something, then we start from there. So you can always tell me in the chat whether you are able to get me clearly uh, as we continue. So can you get my voice clearly, and can you also see my screen? Okay. So let me know that you are able to get my screen. You are able to see my screen clearly, and at the same time that you can hear me. So the first part, whereby we are defining the function, we have created a file here inside the folder that we've been working. For those who've been following, we have been having this folder that we've been functions, and also the Word and the PDF document. So I have this file here that I've called it the SAT live session, or Saturday live session. So so maybe we talk about defining the function, that is a comment, and we said we use the def keyword. So the first thing is the def keyword. So we use the def keyword to define the function. Then after that, we have the name of the function. So if our function, for example, we Remember we talked about the processing plant, but I want us to use a scenario whereby we are at the end of this. I want us to create a function maybe that that does the calculation of the maybe basic salary of a person, or if not, maybe even the gross salary. So let's say we are collecting now the information for this for the people that we have. So maybe we use it employee. Remember, it's good to always use a meaningful name. So the name of the employee. So this is the function that registers employee. So maybe you can say employee registration function. So employee registration function. Uh, let's see so that we can I want us to build on this function instead of having many functions, as we said here. So we are uh, so this is what we said. We are using the def keyword, the name of the function, the parentheses, and the colon to close. Then we have the indentation. So this is what we are doing here in the code. uh, so the name, this is the def keyword function. This is the name of the function, and now we write the code inside here. So if I try to write something here, maybe print law. If I try to have something, you can see it is highlighted, and the issue is expected. The Python is expecting some indentation because once you have this function, remember, unlike other programming languages, in other programming languages, you will define function like this. You'll have the function, and of course, the function and the name of the function. Then we used to have the curly braces uh, to show the extent. This is where the function start, and this is where the function end, and we write the function here. But for Python, instead of these curly braces, we just have the indentation. So if we have the function name like that, and you define the function, you just write here. So Python will assume that all whatever you write here, so long as you are following this indentation, belongs to this function. So everything that we write here, we have to use indentation. Actually, it is four tabs. Sorry, four backspaces and four spaces or a tab. For you to be consistent, just follow. After declaring the function and having the name, once you hit the enter, it will start at appropriate position. That is good so that you can keep the consistency. So maybe the name, we are expecting to register the employee. Remember, seeing an example later, maybe after next week, or next week, if we manage tomorrow, we'll see how to connect database or even Excel as the database before we build on maybe large databases. So we will see this. We are not going to keep this information for employee. I just want us to see how we will record an employee. So maybe we are taking the name of the person, and we are maybe welcoming them. So maybe just for now, hello, hello Noel, you have been registered. So this function is at now, it just create someone and inform them that they have been registered as free. If we run this function, uh, we have a find the name of the file that we are running. So you have a Python and the name of the file that you want to run. So uh, if you've noticed, I run this function. There is no errors, but I can't see any input. I can't even see this message. I can't see this message. Hello Noel, you have been registered. I can't see that message. And what will be the reason? Remember we said here, Using functions involve two steps. First, declaring the function, and second is calling the. So we've not called this function. Yes, we've created the function, but we've not called this function. And we said to call the function, we have the name of the function. So in our case, it is employee registration, and it is not accepting any argument. So we can print to see whatever the function is giving us. We can run this inside the print. So we can run that inside the print, and as you can hello, hello Noel, you have been registered. You have been registered. So that is how we are able to run the function. That is how we are able to run this function, because we declare the function and now we call the function. And ideally, when you are registering a person, you put their names. So that is where we talk of the functions that accept the arguments, like these ones, the functions that accept the parameters. As we said, that's processing on that input and give you an output. So such functions, if you want to collect the names, remember we are registering this person, we'll need to ask them about their name. So we need to ask them about their name. Maybe we'll generate automatically the employee number and all that. But essentially, they should give us maybe their names and their age. So uh, we can collect those inputs. We can collect the inputs. Like this employee, we ask them about their name. We ask them about maybe even not the age, their their location, or let's call it city. So and then we do some processing based on this. So maybe we can just yeah, last week we covered string formatting, and I'm going to use that here. So we want to tell them to greet them with their name and and their city. So you gave us city. So they gave us this city, or you come from that city. Don't bother about that message so much. So if we run this function, we created the function, this printing this line, and we run the function here. Let's see what we get. Let's And as I told you last week part one, whenever you get into an error, try to find out whatever the error could be. Like this error is telling us that it is expecting two arguments, but we gave one. So we two arguments, but we gave none. We gave none. So it's expecting name and the. If the function is accepting some input, you have to include that those inputs whenever we are calling this function. So we include the inputs here. Like we will call this function with the name of the person, like that, and the name of the city, like that. So we call the function with those that we call the functions with those or those parameters, those inputs. If it's like accepting the input and you fail to give those inputs, or you give one and it was accepting two, then it will result in an error. It will result in an error. And as you can see, Noel, you gave. We are going to change that, and sometimes you want to avoid this kind of errors that we are talking about here. Because maybe some people fails if you are running this function and someone failed to give you a name, then you keep default values. You say that once once someone runs that function and fails to give you a value, then that default value will be used. That default value will be used. this is what we are talking about here, about the default values. Like you want to keep your function running. You want to avoid getting into these errors. So, for example, you can have default cities. Maybe most of your employees come from Nairobi, so include that as the default value. So you have here the city is is equals to Nairobi, and the name is equals to maybe an employee. So that if someone fails to give you this information, the function will still run, and the arguments will be passed to that function. The default. If you access some website, you'll find that whenever you are logging in, or you get to that website, it will tell you maybe good morning. But once you register and you log into the website, they are able to find your name and tell you maybe good morning, Noel. And if for every other person that have not registered, they will be seeing maybe good morning customer. Else the name, else the default value is used. So that is where we apply this. So instead of having the city like that, you can have the default value, Nairobi, and the default name is employee. So if the person fails to give information here, then the default values will be used. So default values will be used just like that. As you can see, this hello employee you gave us Nairobi city, because the default values have been used. They failed to give us this information required. And so if someone gives us the values, like here, the name is maybe Mark, and their city maybe is Mombasa. So if they give us these values will be used. Else, if they use, then the default values will be used. Uh, just like that. As you can see, it is Mark, hello Mark, and you gave us Mombasa because they give us this value. But if they had failed to give us these values, then the default values here will be used. So let's take it to another register employee and calculate their basic salary. So if you can remember, we are able to collect the input from users. So we can have uh, the name, the name is equals to, the name is equals to, we use the input function as we saw, and maybe what is your name, what's your name, and the same for the city. So where do you come from? Where do you come from? So we have this information collecting directly from users instead of hard coding them here, instead of hard coding them there. So so the name will be equal to that, and the city will be equal to that, and name, hello, whatever the user, you pass this information. Ideally, this we were supposed to record this somewhere or to keep somewhere in the database, but for now we are not working with database. You'll see the provision for that. So once we run this function, it will be able to ask us the name and the city. And if someone fails to give, the default name will be employee, else uh, the name that they gave us will be taken. And also the same case for the city. So if we run this function like that, so what is your name? And let's say Noel, where do you come from? I failed to give. Okay, so let's see. Illinois, you gave us city. Okay, let's see it once again. So you gave us this. So it's this is taking this city that was here, and I want it to run it again. So it is taking this the variables that we've given here. It's taking the variables that we've given here. So remember we've renamed these ones. Renamed these ones. So it's expecting these variables here. That is why because once we run this function, it's not empty. If we want to make sure that these values are used, control flow here to check if it is empty, then we can use the default. Because once we run this function, even though we have not given anything here, it still accepts something. It still accepts something. Even it still accepts none. Like we have given no value here, but the function has taken whatever, give it to that name. That is why we are not able to and the city unlike before here. So we can we can define a condition. We can define a condition uh, to be able to use those default values. So, but I want us to try to calculate their salary, and these are the cities. Assuming these are the cities that we have, these are the cities. These are maybe the common cities, or the common cities, Nairobi, and maybe Kacha, and maybe Kitwe. So I have this list. Hope you still remember list declaration. I have this list. Let me change this one to. So maybe these are the hardship areas. These are the hardship areas. So these are the hardship areas that we expect maybe to give them some hardship allowance. Else for the rest of employees we just add the basic salary, and we have maybe the basic salary if it is the same, assuming it is the same maybe job group. So basic salary. Uh, so if basic salary is 10,000, and we have hardship areas are these ones, uh, and we have hardship areas which add allowance, maybe hours allowance. Or let's leave it at that. This is my intention. Hope you are still able to get me. Okay. So this is my intention. My intention is to check if someone is coming from that city. Remember we said the function accepts some input, does processing on that input, and give you some output. So this is the input, this is the output. So I want us to see how function process that uh, whatever you've given and gives you the output. So if this is coming from this hardship area, then you give them hardship allowance. Else you give them their basic salary. So we are able to use the control flow as we discussed inside the functions. So we have hardship allowance maybe 5,000. So so someone will give us their name and the city, and then we'll check whatever the city they gave us. We'll check the city that they gave us. If it is part of this city, this is a list. Remember, we are now trying to combine whatever we've been learning. This is a list, and we are combining with control flow. We are combining also with these are variables that we've declared, and we are combining with a function to be able to achieve something. We are now building a system for payroll. So we'll say if the city that they gave us, so the city that this person gave us, and if city is in hardship areas. So if the city that this person gave us is in hardship areas, then their basic salary, let me call it basic pay, will be not really basic, but let me call it net pay. So it will be the basic salary plus the hardship allowance. So if the city that this person gave us is part of this, then we give them the hardship allowance. Otherwise, if they are not working in these cities, these are the cities. If they are not working in those cities, then we do what? Their net pay will be the basic salary. And this function returns a value. It returns the net pay. So it returns the net pay. So this function will be calculating the net pay, and maybe passing to another function. We could be having another function for making payment. So whenever you want to make the payment, you call maybe the name or the ID of the person, and you pass that ID to this function, and it will be able to find based on the information that this person gave us or where we deploy this person, we are able to know whether they are allowed to take the hardship allowance or not. And so it returns the net pay. So we can also say instead of just returning the net pay, we can return and say so we can return string, we can return a formatted string, and we can return a formatted string having the name of the person. That is the name that they gave us, and we have the basic pay, the net pay they gave us is the net pay we can return. So this is the function that returns a value. It returns a value based on, of course, there are other factors. This is one of the factors that we may need to consider. If this person is coming from this place, whether they can access or not the allowance, then then we their pay. So this function, we call this function. Uh, we can also include here if the name is the default values here. But let's assume that for a moment, and run this to see. So as you can see here, some cities here are they are uppercase, they are lowercase. So because we are checking, we can convert everything to keep consistency. So we can call here dot lower to convert this city, that whatever the person gave us, to lower, and we can convert even these ones for hardship areas. So we can call lower dot lower function to be able to lower whatever they gave us, and also hardship areas. You can say for I in hardship areas. Sorry, for I in hardship areas, you can say I dot lower. So we run this to change everything to lower, so that as we are trying to merge this, as we are trying to merge this to check whether they are equal, it will be, remember, if we run merge subit like this and merge subit with small or lowercase, then it will be different. So we not know exactly whether this person is coming from uh, that area. So let's run and see that function. And what's your name? Noel. I come from. Let's start with someone who is coming from a place which is not listed as part of the hardship area. Okay. So so it has taken the values what we forgot to print because it is returning a string. Forgot to print. The name is Noel. Coming from format, and as you can see, these are the information. Like Noel is not from hardship area, and their net pay is 10,000 because they are not accessed. They are not part of the people who are supposed to receive the hardship allowance. Let's try someone else. Coming from maybe Kitui. Let's try. Mercy is coming from Kitui and their net 10,000. So there is an issue. There is an issue. There is an issue here. So there is an issue. There is an issue. Where is that? So it's supposed to be this. It's supposed to be among these hardship areas. Okay. So we can create actually a new list here of hardship areas. So we can have hardship areas lowercase. So we can have an empty list. Then we append the list of hardship areas that have been changed to lowercase. Remember, once I run this for loop, it convert all the hardship areas. After this loop is done, we cannot use these values here. Yeah, it cannot change those values. So remember, we are able to also to change the values. We can use the index to change the values here. We can pass the index here, and we can change the values. But for now, let's use this. Let's use this. So we'll say hardship areas in lowercase. Hardship areas in lowercase. Uh, then we append. So we'll say hardship areas in lowercase. Then we use to append to add the the city that has been changed to lowercase. And then instead of using the initial, we can use this one. We can check if the city is in hardship areas with lowercase. So we've created a new list. Then whenever we are running this list, we change everything. Then whatever we've changed, we add. Of course, there are many other ways. I'll show you also another way. It was someone from Kitui. Okay, I just spelled the name. So this time around it has matched, and the net pay is 15,000 because the system is able to find that this person is coming from an hardship area. So this person is coming from an hardship area. So just remember, whenever you are comparing strings, you need to consider their cases, whether it is an uppercase or lowercase. So we had to lower this to make it lowercase, or we can also use uppercase. We can change everything to uppercase so that we are consistent. So that is why we started a new list. Remember, once we run this, if we run this and we just change to dot lower as you are doing, it will yes change, but after this for loop, those values will not be used anywhere. It will be used inside this for loop. So we started another variable that will represent a list of lowercase cities, or the cities that have been changed to lowercase, and then whenever we are running this, we did discuss about list, how to add a new element in a list. So I have used what we discussed, the append method to add an element in a list, and I have added I, I which is the city. I will have named it as the city. Uh, I will have named it as the city, but I didn't want to do that so that I cannot confuse you with this city here. So this I represent the value in that list, one of the items, which is a city. So I'm adding that city, but the one that has been changed, I'm calling the lower function because those cities are function to change that city place. Then I pass it to this new list. So we have the new list here of the cities that has been transformed to lowercase, and that is why we are able to match here. If this person is coming from Kitui, then it is an hardship area. So let's run once again. Another person, maybe Daniel or Dan. Uh, so Daniel is coming from weird Marsabit. As you can see, the areas they are able to get their allowance. So like this is one of the things, or part of the system that can be expanded to be able to calculate the payroll. You can also consider the number of working hours. So we can consider the number of working hours, and based on these hours, if someone is working 6 hours, this is their salary. If someone is working for these hours, this is their salary. If someone is working, consider the overtime at their salary. So we consider many things, but essentially we are combining whatever we've been learning to be able to come up with something. We've learned about variables. That is why we are using variables here, the name and the city. We learn about collecting input from users, collecting the names here, and we are also asking the city where they come from. We learn about the list. So this is the list here of the areas where they are coming from, and we learn about the list manipulation, adding elements. That is why we added a new list here, and we are able to achieve whatever we wanted. Of course, there is another way of doing it, and the string manipulation. So we learned here about string manipulation. Sometimes back, and we are able to change the city that user gave us. I think I've run with let's see, Marsabit is in lowercase. Let me have a city in uppercase so that we can see the difference. I'm going to use Cachado this time around. So what is your name? And this person is called Matthew, and they come from Cachado. As you can see, their net pay is still 15,000. The salary, the hardship allowance has been added. It has been added to this person because he's coming from Cachado. So how we are able to achieve that? This person is giving us Cachado in uppercase, and if you can see our initial list, Cachado is not in uppercase. So if we were to try to check if this is equal to this, then it will not be equal. That is why we are changing it to lowercase. We are changing everything to lowercase. So that is string manipulation that we learned, and also we learn about the string formatting last week. We learned about string formatting. So we are able to structure maybe what we are not what we didn't learn last week that I used. If you can see here, the escape. Okay, this and this is used to skip to the next line. So instead of writing everything in the same line, you can have some information in the next line so that you can structure your code. So just like that. So as you can see here, whenever I'm getting the output, I don't get the output in the same line like that. So that is one of the things that we are able, or how we are able now to match whatever we've been learning, so that we can build something. So we can match whatever we've been learning and build something out of it. So I want you to try to do this. I'm going to send this to our group. I'm going to send this to our group. What I want you to do, try to do these exercises from exercise 1 to the last one, the fifth one. And if you are able to do that, then you'll be good to go. So if you are able to achieve this, you are then you'll be you are well rest assured that you are to these concepts. So try like this. You are building a simple past ticket booking system for company, and the system needs to create a cast. And these are the information that we are given. So try to do them. In case you are not able, or you have a question, you can always ask in our group, so that we can move together. Remember, tomorrow we have another session. Another session that will be concluding on functions, but on something small to do with how now we can match different functions together. So I urge you to attend tomorrow's session, because after tomorrow, if time allows us, we'll start on files, working with files. We can see how we can create a database by ourselves in Excel, so that whenever people are registering to our system, instead of just printing them, we can register them in the Excel sheet, so that as the users come to our system, we are able to track the users that we have. We are able to save that information somewhere. We have different databases. When we get to the part maybe whereby we'll be talking about the web development for those who are interested, then we will see how we can integrate database with whatever we have been doing. So whenever we are building a system, we have the user interface. So we have the user interface. We talked about that in the first and second session. So we have the user interface whereby you are accessing the service. For example, we are talking about payroll. So we have somewhere whereby the admin or whatever, or the accountant or whoever is responsible, will be able to get will be able to interact with the system, like key in the name